Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is DavidColarossiPhd. I'm a licensed psychologist, and for fun in the evenings, I use events in pop culture to talk about concepts in psychology. And tonight, that event in pop culture is Sister Wives episode 7. Here's what I'll say to start. I thought the episode was boring. I'd like to say, this was some really compelling content. I thought that it wasn't, and I'm getting slowly more and more resentful of TLC for sort of, I think, stringing the audience along. It seems like a third of the clips are pulled from 2 years ago. It seems like nothing's actually happening. I mean, for the last 3 episodes, they've ended with a trailer that shows either Janelle or Meri leaving in a pretty definitive way. And then as you watch his episodes, there's nothing super definitive about it, right? So let's start with Janelle. Last episode, she had a big kind of conversation with Kody about their relationship, and she said, I don't want to resume the relationship with you. I'd like to take a break. And then in this episode, she says, I'm continuing that break. I don't want to be married to Kody anymore. But there's no actual conversation with Kody. So she's sort of stuck in this purgatory, and there's no big moment. And then the same is true with Meri. I thought she was going to say, peace out, bitches, and leave. Turns out she's staying in the relationship with Kody, but she's just moving her clothing business to the same town that her Airbnb is so that she can work more efficiently. So she's moving away from Kody, but she's definitely not drawing a line in the sand and getting divorced. So it feels a little bit like much to do about nothing at this point. Now, that being said, I did think that there were some interesting moments in this episode. The first is when Janelle is talking to Christine about getting divorced, and she's sort of saying, I'm unhappy, and you see Christine is like, are you done? Are you getting divorced? Is it over? When can it be over? Please be over. Christine could not be more excited about the fact that Kody is losing all of these relationships. I think for 2 reasons. One, yes, I think she wants to spend more time with her sister wife, Janelle. Maybe more than that, I think she is really fucking mad at Kody. And I think she likes the fact that Kody is suffering. I think she likes the fact that other people see him the same way that she does. I think it's super validating for her. So I think if you asked her, she would say, look, I want Kody to be happy and I want the family to stick together. But I think selfishly, the truth is probably that she's very excited about the fact that everything is imploding for Kody. And then that brings us to Janelle, who in this episode turns to TLC in one of her interviews and says, I'm embarrassed or I'm ashamed. I don't know why I want to get divorced. I believe in this covenant. I entered into it, and Kody hasn't really done anything wrong. She says he hasn't been physically abusive and he hasn't been neglectful. So why do I want out? Which I heard and I was kind of taken aback by, and it just sort of reminded me that this is she has a different worldview than I do. So first of all, you could certainly argue that while he hasn't been physically abusive, he's been threatening in some cases, he's been emotionally abusive, and I think he's been emotionally neglectful for her and her kids. I think there's plenty of reasons to want to exit the relationship. But for her, she feels shame around it, which makes me think about, then why all of a sudden is Christine wanting out? Why all of a sudden is Janelle wanting out? Why all of a sudden is Meri wanting to separate herself? What's happening? And I think it's twofold. One, you have Kody, who over the last 2 years became a massive a-hole. I think he was always selfish and narcissistic and mistreated people, but I think in the last 2 years it got worse with COVID. And then I think these women have been bolstered by fan support. As a consequence of this show, of social media, I feel like they have more perspective, or a different perspective now, and I think they have kind of the infrastructure to be able to thrive outside of this family. And so you're seeing everybody go, hey, is there more for me in life outside of a relationship with Kody Brown? And that brings me to Robyn, who I thought in this episode, Robyn's tough for me because it's like she vacillates between not getting it and being manipulative, and I can't figure out where she lands. In this episode, there were moments where she seemed somewhat reflective. She acknowledged that Meri might not be happy in the relationship with Kody because of how Kody treats her. She acknowledged that there's part of her that wants Meri to leave so that Meri can go find happiness, and that there's part of her that wants Meri just to sit in the relationship, and just sort of suffer with her. Like, I thought that was some good awareness. And then there's moments where she seems totally out of it. Like in this episode, she says to Meri, we're both in this together, as though they're suffering in the same way by Kody. Despite the fact that Robyn goes home and Cody's in her bed. It's hard for me to believe that she really doesn't get it, but she's saying it to Meri. Which, by the way, I guess I should say, I was pleased in this episode because at the end, Meri said to Robyn, hey, because I'm leaving, if you want me to be involved in your kids' lives, you have to call me. I will come if you call me. And then Meri says to TLC, Robyn never reaches out, which was the first time that I have heard Meri ever acknowledge that Robyn's behavior as a sister wife is negative. Like, I've heard a lot from Christine, and I've heard a lot from Janelle, but I always feel like Meri is silent on the issue. And this was the first time that she acknowledged that Robyn isn't the gracious, hub of the family that she makes herself out to be. And the last thing I want to talk about, because I've said this before, but I get a lot of pushback in the comments, and I want to explain my perspective on this. I have said historically that the sisters, all four of the sister wives, need to be more active about addressing Kody's negative behaviors. So in this season in particular, I reacted to the fact that Kody was just sort of neglecting Savannah around Christmas. He got in a big fight with Janelle, and then, at the beginning of December, and then didn't talk to Savannah again, didn't get her a Christmas present. And it wasn't until 6 weeks later when Janelle finally talked to Kody and mentioned this to him. And I said, why doesn't Janelle reach out to Kody and go, hey, what the hell are you doing? And I think people's response to that is, look, it's not Janelle's responsibility, it's Kody's responsibility, hold him accountable. And I don't disagree, it's 100% Kody's responsibility. But the reality is, Kody is not functioning at a very high level, and his behavior is damaging other people. And so for me, my view on it is, it's Janelle. Janelle has not the responsibility, she has the opportunity to protect Savannah by reaching out to Kody and saying, what are you doing? Call your daughter. This isn't about me and you, Kody. This is about you and Savannah. Call your daughter. Don't miss your daughter's birthday. I think he missed Christmas present and birthday. Reach out. I think the same thing is true with Robyn. Robyn has the opportunity to turn to Kody and go, why are you treating Meri this way? Why are you neglecting my fellow sister wife? I think that Meri should reach out to Kody and say, what are you doing? Why are we approaching it this way? How long are we going to have this separation where we just have a platonic relationship? I think Meri has to advocate for herself. I think Christine, before she left, could have done more of that. Like, I know that Christine advocated for herself, but I don't know how many other people advocated on Christine's behalf. Like, to me, if the goal is to create a cohesive family, if that's what everybody wanted originally, then I think they should have put more effort towards that. But instead, what seems like happened is every individual sister wife focused on their relationship with Kody. And because Kody is 50% of it, the relationship's dissolved. I mean, I think Robyn may leave him at the end of this episode. Like, things are just falling apart, and I don't think that there's any external force on Kody to get it together. And so I guess I just want to frame it that way. I understand that it's not their responsibility, but I do think that they have the capacity and they have the opportunity to potentially intervene, and they should. So that's my perspective. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for listening.